Alfred Adler Biography. Alfred Adler was the second of 6 children. His father, Leopold Adler, had come to Vienna from the Burgenland and was a grain merchant. His mother was from Moravia. Adler was graduated from the University of Vienna Medical School in 1895. 3 years later he wrote his first book, in which he indicated the health hazards to which tailors were exposed, stressing the principle that human beings could not be considered in isolation but only in relation to their total environment. Thus, even as a young man of 28, his approach to human problems was holistic, foreshadowing his later basic conceptual approach. Around 1900, Adler's chief interest was the study of psychopathological symptoms within the field of general medicine. In 1902, when he wrote a review of Freud's book on dream interpretation, Freud sent him a postcard inviting him to join his discussion circle. Upon Freud's assurance that many different views, including Adler's own, would be discussed, Adler accepted the invitation. Adler had never agreed with Freud's theory that early sexual trauma caused mental disease, and he persistently opposed Freud's method of dream interpretation. The differences between the two men became even more marked after Adler had published his study of organ inferiority and its psychical compensation. In 1911, Adler and 9 of his followers left Freud's circle and developed their own school of thought. The two men never met again. In 1912, Adler named his system individual psychology, and that same year he published The Neurotic Constitution, a book that outlined his main concepts in both their theoretical and practical aspects. In the following years, he lectured extensively, and one of his books, Understanding Human Nature, 1927, commonly referred to as a classic and still on the required reading list of several colleges in the United States, is based on the notes of one of his listeners. After his return from military service during World War I, Adler opened the first child guidance clinic in Vienna. Soon there were about 30 such clinics in the city, conducted under his supervision, staffed by his pupils, and affiliated with parent-teacher associations and private institutions. These clinics functioned until 1934, when they were ordered closed by the fascist regime, which favored an authoritarian approach in the field of education, as elsewhere. In 1926 Adler was appointed visiting professor at Columbia University in New York, and in 1932, he also began teaching at the Long Island College of Medicine, where he held the title of visiting professor of medical psychology. From then on, he spent only the summer months in Vienna. Adler was an excellent lecturer, and he established contact with his audience as easily in English as in his native German. His public lectures were always crowded. In 1937, while giving a series of lectures at the University of Aberdeen, he collapsed on the street and died of heart failure within a few minutes. Adler was married to Raisa Timofeyevna Epstein in 1897. Of his 4 children, his daughter Alexandra and his son Kurt are psychiatrists.